So somebody just asked me, and I really want to share this because I think it'd be valuable. I certainly could have used it when I started out in business, is what are the 3 things I made mistakes on when I started my business that I would tell people starting a business now to make sure to avoid? And the 3 jumped to me so quickly, like I didn't even actively think about it. They just came flying out. So I wanted to share them because I think they can add a lot of value, because truthfully, these are mistakes. I didn't make them all at the beginning. Like, I continued to make some of these mistakes before I got to the point where now, 6 years later, 8 years later, I can look back and say, oh yeah, that was not the right decision. So what are the 3 things? The first one, I think, is probably the most important for me and what caused me the biggest hassle. So I came out of corporate, and I know a lot of you, forgive the background noise, that's my dogs. It's always gonna be there. It's part of the brand for a reason. But I came out of corporate America as an executive thinking, oh my God, I've become an executive in corporate America. I know shit. So I've always done really well in business. I've gotten the promotion, I've gotten the deal, I've gotten the this, I've gotten the job. I'm just gonna translate that brilliance into being a brilliant entrepreneur. The word that you're trying to think of, I think, is arrogance, maybe, that you're trying to come up with right now, because that works. It was a little arrogant, it was a lot arrogant. Because I just thought I'd stroll out the door, put a sign up and say, I'm now doing priorities group, and all of those skills would translate. The truth of the matter is there are some things that translate, right? The things that translate are the work ethic, are the objectives, are the goals, are staying on task, are trying things, being ready to fail, getting out of perfection paralysis. All that stuff stays the same. You know, leadership, relationship skills, definitely transfers. But what doesn't transfer is that when you step out of corporate, where so much stuff just happens for you, and there's a language you don't even know you're speaking in corporate until you get out of corporate and you use words and people just cock their heads at you like, what the hell are you talking about? I would sometimes go to an event and I would say a whole sentence and somebody would be staring back at me blankly, and I realized that I just used a series of words that no entrepreneur ever uses. And it took me a long time to break out of that and understand there's a whole new language to learn. And thank God there's a whole new culture and intention to learn. Because in corporate, what I found myself doing was going, I know business can be done right. I know business can be done right. And in my little pockets of a business, I would run a team the way I knew a team should be run, where people were valued and developed and felt like they were contributing to a greater good and understood how they fit in. But inside that whole corporate arena, somebody was handling HR, somebody else was handling IT, somebody else was handling marketing and sales. I just had to focus on my team and my function. Well, all of a sudden, when you become the CEO of your own small business, that stuff goes away. And you think it'll be easy to replace. It's not easy to replace or create, because you either have to do it yourself if you're bootstrapping, or even if you're lucky enough to have an investor, you have to find the right people to do that work. Then you have to define the policies, define the procedures, define the culture, all of those things that you need to operate in this new world. And most of all, you need to speak the language. So if you're an ex-CFO, an ex-CMO, an ex-anything-O, an ex-anything out of corporate, make sure that you take a really hard look and listen to how the people you're trying to serve are talking in this new world. They have a whole different set of terminology. There's a whole different set of service levels. You don't have to go out and buy, for example, I would have thought, wow, I've got to get myself a really robust bookkeeping system. Not true. I'm an entrepreneur, and at the beginning I had 3 clients. I needed an Excel sheet to keep track of my revenue and expenses. I could have, and in one case did, go out and buy a really complex system that I never ended up using for CRM, for keeping track of my clients or my potential clients. I bought Salesforce as an entrepreneur. You don't need Salesforce as an entrepreneur with 20 leads, which is where I was when I started. So it's a very different world, and the skill sets are quite different. So that would be the first thing. Take time to ground yourself in the new world. This is not corporate America. Get to know the people you're going to serve, you're going to work with, you're going to rely on, and start to learn and adapt to how things happen in this new world. Don't think of it as an extension of corporate, but smaller. Because especially if you're going to serve entrepreneurs, they will smell that a mile away. and they're not gonna even think about talking to you because they can smell ex-corporate if you haven't adapted. And ex-corporate's not what they need. They don't need bureaucracy. They don't need dogs barking. They always do this after their walk. But they can smell corporate a mile away. So that's the first thing. The second thing I didn't understand, and again, this may also tie into the first one, is that we need to, when I first came out, the only way I could figure out how to buy the services I need, the things I need, build a funnel, build a marketing plan, develop a speaking schedule. I had to buy things to train on how to do that, or people to do it for me. And the only way I could do that was based on marketing. So I bought stuff because it was marketed well. And I would honestly say 9 times out of 10, it was a bust. So the amount, I'm embarrassed to tell you the amount of money I spent, because this is a no judgment zone. I can tell you I kept track of it for the first year. And I can tell you unequivocally, because I tracked it, because I'm a geek, I wasted no less than $40,000 the first year of my business, before I was making money, mind you, on tech and training that I did not need or couldn't rely on or didn't serve its purpose. The lesson I learned from that is we need to find our services, our employees, our clients, our training through relationships. So we always talk about relationships kind of the other way. It's like, build relationships because you want to build a long relationship, and then when people know, love, and trust you, they will hire you. All good, all true. Relationships is everything. But relationship is also everything in deciding what you need to purchase. So recognize that you're as valuable as that client you're trying to build a relationship with. So talk to people, get to know other entrepreneurs, get in groups that do similar things or even different things that you do, but have entrepreneurs in them. Learn who knows who. Learn who's being helpful with what they're giving out. Learn who people refer to. Learn who people talk about, recommend. Testimonials, sure. If you see a testimonial on a website, it's usually legit, but it's not the same thing as being in a place, either physically or virtually, with people who are talking about different places they've gotten services. Ask a question in a group. Hey, has anybody looked for a copywriter? What should I look for in a copywriter? Do you know any copywriters? See which names get mentioned the most often. Make your buying decisions on relationships just the same way your clients decide whether to buy from you based on a relationship. You don't have to put yourself at kind of a second tier level of just accepting whatever is thrown at you from a marketing standpoint. So I did a lot of that. I wasted a lot of money doing that. And now I literally don't buy any service, any training, any tech, unless I've known either people very close to me who highly refer them and have used them themselves, or I actually know the person providing that service. I'm just getting ready to hire somebody that I've been building a relationship with now for, God, it's got to be 3 years now. And I'm finally going to hire him because he fits now. It's the perfect time. So I would not ever hire somebody I didn't know for what I'm going to bring him in to do. But I made a lot of that mistake at the very beginning. So definitely do your business buying decisions based on relationships and not marketing. You can like the marketing, sure, but the relationship is first. Third thing. Try to remember what the third thing was I was going to tell you because it was so important. Oh my God, yes, this is important. Oh my God, I did so much of this. I still find myself going down this road sometimes. You've got a service or a product that you offer, and you've got a way that you offer it. And yes, that's going to change over time as you learn what works. You have a client that's happy, so you accentuate something that worked with them, or you have a client that was not very happy with you and left under bad terms, so you say, okay, what can I learn from that and do a little bit differently? So what I would do, though, when I was first taking clients on is I'd get on the phone and I'd tell them, hey, here's what I offer. It's this package, it's this much, and this is what you get. And they would, some would say, could you just tweak that a little bit? Because I don't really need this, this, and this. I need thing 2 and 3. And let's just take an example of that. Somebody would come on and say, I would say, I have a package which is bookkeeping and CFO services at the time. That was a package that I offered standalone. And it cost this much a month. I think at the time it was $12.50 a month or something like that. And this is how much, this is what I do for you. This is when I talk to you. This is what you get. I wasn't a very good salesperson. I'm still not a very good salesperson. But I had that conversation and they said, well, I understand that you do bookkeeping and CFO work, but what I really need is somebody to do this project for me, which is a whole data management project. And I knew I could do it. I had the skill set. I was in corporate, remember? I can do everything. And so I said, well, okay, well, we can do that for you, of course. And what would the price be? And I gave her a price, I don't know, a little bit more than my flat package. Let's call it $1,500. And so all of a sudden I had a client who, number one, had talked me off my game, talked me off what I know I do well and what I know I can deliver profitably at the price that I offered. And number two, in the back of my head, I knew this wasn't going to be a great client. I knew the hair on the back of my neck was going up. Now, inevitably, I've done that probably now, God, where I've stretched the rules on that, I'm going to say at least 15 times. So I don't learn my own lessons very well, which is why I feel like I can preach them, because what the heck, I keep learning it over and over, so I might as well share it with somebody who might listen. But about 15 times, let's say, over the last 8 years that I've done that with somebody, all 15 of those relationships ended with somebody not thrilled with what had happened, whether it was me or the client. Usually it was me, because I made sure the client got what they need, but I had either spent much more time, energy, money, and resources than I ever thought it was going to be, because I hadn't done any homework on it. I just agreed on the fly. Or the client was like, you know, this isn't really what I want, and you're not paying enough attention to me, and they were right. They were absolutely right. So I don't blame the client in those situations. I blame myself. And I would love to tell you that I have completely learned this lesson. I know what I do. I know what I do well. I know what we can deliver, and I know how well we can deliver it. The minute I start to feel myself now go, oh, well, we can adapt a little bit to blah, 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 then I can't serve them at my best. The minute I do that, because I've now built an engine that serves this thing. And what I realized is I don't have to bring every client who calls me into the fold. I need to bring the clients into the fold who need exactly what I offer. And the cool thing about exactly what I offer, even though what I'm saying sounds really inflexible, it's actually the opposite. Because I now stick to my knitting, as they say, and only bring in the clients that are perfect for our business and our business model, is because I know we can perfectly serve them. And the way we perfectly serve them is not rigid at all. We fully adapt to them. And we're able to do that because I keep a very strong border around who I serve and how we serve them. So that would be the third biggest lesson. So just to summarize, I'd say lesson number one would be, coming out of corporate, don't be as arrogant as I was and think you know everything, because you don't. It's a whole new world. There's a whole new language to learn. There's a whole new way of doing business to learn. Thank God, because they're doing it right out here. And there are a lot better ways to do things than we did them in corporate when we're dealing with entrepreneurs and small business. Number two is, when you buy stuff, buy it because of the relationship you have with whoever owns, runs, sells, does that product, and not because they've got flashy marketing. Wait till you've built a relationship before you spend your money and your time on something. And number three, don't step out of your box. When you've got a defined service and pricing, sell your defined service and pricing. You're sending out the energy that people need to be getting, that people who need you will see. Those are the only people you want to let in the fold, are the people who need you. You don't want to bring somebody in who's making you twist and turn to adapt to them in ways that you haven't already figured out how to do that, right? So that's number three. So that's my Finance 15. Hope you all got a lot out of that today. It was a little longer than most of them, I think. I really went on a ramble here. But somebody asked me that today, and I thought, let's go ahead and capture it, because those are my three things. So drop down in the comments, what are your three things, right? If you're in business, what are the three things that you did when you first started out that you would warn starting out entrepreneurs against? I'm really interested. I think we could do a book on this. Have a great day.